Welcome back. We are here with the second top four match of the Florida 2017 Regional Championships. My name's Gabby Snyder.
I'm Adam Dorricott. I'm back to that name.
All right, and we're going to get started immediately with this match because I know you're all very excited to see it. Wolfe Glick versus Will Collins. The winner of this match will decide who's facing Ian in our final match.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot on the line for that match, not just the points, also the cash prizes this year. So they really want to make the final and get that money. I can feel both of these players obviously going to be feeling each other out. We're going to switch over and have a look at their teams right now, I think.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not remember, Wolfe is running Hitmontop, Kyogre, Rayquaza, Raichu, Bronzong, and I think the fan favorite, Klefki, versus Will's team of Kyogre, Xerneas, Raichu, Hitmontop, Amoonguss, and Salamence. So a lot of things in common between these two teams.
Yeah, a lot of kind of common things. Obviously the Raichu and the Hitmontop there shared between the teams. I like there's a little bit of a difference. Xerneas could do quite well if it gets itself into a good position here. I mean, Wolfie dropped the Gengar, as I spoke to him about earlier, and that was one of his really good answers to Xerneas. So he does, of course, have double steel types now, so could do a lot of damage there. We're not going to see offense from Klefki, though, so really on the shoulders of the Bronzong to do good damage, and then maybe Rayquaza and Kyogre to kind of tidy it up after that damage is put down initially. Interesting to see some Amoonguss come out from Will as well. We've only seen one on the stream this weekend, not really making a splash so much in this format. So I'll be interested to see if it actually does what it needs to do. If Wolfie has an answer to it, it could be something he's prepared for, could be something he's not prepared for at all. I think it goes either way when people team build. We're about to see the leads drop onto the field, and I'm going to see if Wolfie just sticks with what worked for him, and same for Will, I guess.
So a Raichu Xerneas lead from Will, so I think that's a new interpretation of, I think, an old favorite against Klefki and Rayquaza on Wolfe, and that's something we certainly haven't seen before.
No, well, we've not seen much at Klefki, and to see it come down now, next to the Rayquaza, interesting about what it does. I do like, obviously, the lead from Will. Raichu does a lot more than you think here. We did see yesterday in the brief flash we saw of Klefki, it carries Thunder Wave. So Lightning Rod being able to pull that Thunder Wave away means that Xerneas might be a little bit safer to throw up the Geomancy. Obviously, a lot of damage that can come down from the Rayquaza on Wolf's side of the field, but that could be nullified potentially by the Raichu with the Fake Out. So it's probably going to be something else coming from the Klefki to try and stop it. It has such a good support move pool though, most prankster Pokemon do, and I think it's up for Will to try and find out what it's got in that move pool right away.
Yeah, so Wolfe switching out that Rayquaza into a Bronzong who's going to take a Fake Out from Raichu, allowing Klefki to set up Light Screen, which will raise Wolf's side of the field to special defense a lot to sort of counteract a lot of the boost that Xerneas is going to see this turn. Xerneas will still benefit from the speed boost and the special defense boost it'll get from this Geomancy, but that special attack boost might not be as valuable as long as that screen remains on the field.
Yeah, it's a good turn for Will, and on the surface he gets a Geomancy up, which is really, really nice. Obviously you're going to be able to do a lot of damage, but he's now facing down two steel types, so he's not going to be able to put huge damage on them, and he needs a way to probably get rid of at least one of these two, so something else is on the field to stop that. I like Wolfie's answer here though to Geomancy. Doesn't go for the Thunder Wave, not trying to control the speed, instead trying to mitigate the damage output actually that the Xerneas will be doing after it gets those boosts.
Kyogre switching in Raichu's place. It's going to set up that Primordial Sea ability that we've seen a lot throughout this tournament. Wolf still looking like he's in a great place though. Kyogre is a very especially offensive Pokemon. That Light Screen will also benefit him here. So really just an amazing play right off the bat, giving him a significant defensive advantage. And then from Klefki, we see that move that I think really won some hearts back in 2015. That Swagger is going to boost Kyogre's attack by 2 stages, but confuse it as well. Moonblast from Xerneas connecting with that Bronzong to deal a little bit of chip damage, also getting a special attack drop, which may or may not matter moving forward depending on what is on that Bronzong. And a Gyro Ball missing the knockout on Xerneas by 8 HP, though it did certainly benefit from a critical hit.
Yeah, it gets really close with that critical hit, and just that number there gives Wolfie so much indication about that Xerneas that Will's running. Probably a very similar Xerneas to the style that Ian was using in the game before, with a lot of training in its defenses here, and not so much in the speed. So that less speed training when it's being raised and trained with Will helps it survive through those gyro balls. Obviously the crit makes it look a lot worse than it was, but lower speed means less gyro ball damage. So I think good information for Wolfe to get. Very lucky for Will that he manages to survive, but this Xerneas is still in a very precarious position, and it's just going to leave the field because of that.
It is going to leave the field. Raichu coming out in the field is in its place. It's possible that Will is trying to snipe that Thunder Wave from Klefki. Raichu using its Lightning Rod ability to boost its special attack instead of taking that paralysis chance. Kyogre attacking through the confusion with a massively powerful Water Spot. It's about almost knocking out that Bronzong, forcing Klefki to reveal that it is holding a Citrus Berry, which will be amazing information moving forward. Bronzong using that Gyro Ball to target that Raichu. It's not going to deal as much damage as it did to that Xerneas, though.
Yeah, great turn there for Will. Redirecting that Thunder Wave, a great predictor bringing the Raichu. But Wolfie's Light Screen just paying dividends. We see a full health Water Spout from that Kyogre, hit both the Bronzong and the Klefki and not take a knockout on either. So really showing how good Light Screen can be in this format. Just keeping his Pokemon alive for a lot longer. And I think if Will's still in a position like this when the Light Screen runs out, it could be a really good time for him. Wolfie doesn't want that Bronzong any danger though.
No, Bronzong switching out, Rayquaza coming in its place, which is a little bit of a strange play, but I think that knowing how defensive Wolfe tends to play things, he should be all right. Klefki going for a safeguard to prevent it from, paralysis from moves such as Nuzzle, which we do see immediately from Will. It's going to do a little bit of damage, no paralysis, and Kyogre, still confused from that Swagger, just punches itself right in the face.
Yeah, Klefki actually does a lot of work this turn. It shows that in the game, Klefki is actually running the show here. The Swagger coming out and paying dividends this turn in the fact that Kyogre isn't able to move at all, and even if Will had called the Rayquaza switch in and gone for an Ice Beam, he still doesn't get to attack through confusion. It also stops the Nuzzle doing anything, so obviously Wolfe knows exactly how Raichu plays, knows that it's going to look to Nuzzle things such as the Rayquaza and the Klefki, and just puts the safeguard up to stop it. So a lot of information for Will on what this Klefki actually has, which could have been a very important point of this game one, but I think there's still a lot that Wolfe needs to do. He's not really shown much offensive prowess yet, and I think when he turns it on, he's going to start very quickly going through Will's team here.
Yeah, we might see the beginning of Wolfe's offensive streak here with that Rayquaza going for a Mega Evolution. Raichu using Feint to deal a little bit of damage to get rid of that, I believe, Focus Sash we saw it holding in previous rounds, and Klefki swaggering the Rayquaza, protecting it from confusion due to its own safeguard. We're going to see a massively powerful Dragon Ascent now, already one of the most powerful attacks in this metagame, supercharged even more, getting that knockout on Kyogre.
So this is why he's bought Klefki. He sets up the safeguard, swaggers himself for the attack boost, and then attacks. It's similar to what he did at Worlds, where they ran the Rayquaza with the Sword Stance. But the benefit of this is he can boost the attack and attack with Rayquaza in the same turn. So it just kind of ups the pace of the game. And as I was saying at the beginning of the turn, he starts off, he just sets the board up, gets the light screen, gets the safeguard, and then he cashes in on it. Very quickly we see Kyogre, which is probably one of Will's best answers to Rayquaza, taken off the field by that +2 Dragon Ascent coming down, and I just love that play from Wolfe. Very, very smart, and it puts Will down a Pokemon and in a really tight position with that Kyogre gone as well.
Yeah, and it looks like based off of the field right now, Rayquaza is free to really take another swagger boost from that Klefki and then just keep attacking. I don't think Raichu has enough offensive pressure to get a knockout on it. Maybe after another defense drop from a Dragon Ascent, we'll have to see if this Salamence possibly has anything to answer this Rayquaza, because right now it is a huge threat and can only be powered up even more this turn. Salamence going for a Protect. Rayquaza going for that extreme speed into Raichu, picking up that knockout, potentially to a critical hit, dealing a massive amount of damage. Klefki going for a Thunder Wave into Salamence. I think Wolfe was banking on that getting a knockout regardless of that crit.
Yeah, I think he knew, and he's probably run a load of calculations. Like, he ran it with Sword Stance at Worlds. He's at the same attack point. He's doing the same amount of damage. So very smart from him. He knows he can knock things out with the extreme speed now. He's going to be able to take out this Xerneas with extreme speed. Likely going to be able to do a lot to the Salamence. So a very good position from Wolfe. Does have that Klefki there to potentially Thunder Wave into the Salamence and just really ruin Will's day. So I think Rayquaza just playing it safe. I think Klefki's run the show though.
Yeah, we're going to see Xerneas and Rayquaza protect themselves this turn, giving Klefki the perfect opportunity, like you said, to get that Thunder Wave onto Salamence. Salamence went for a Draco Meteor into Rayquaza, so great information for Wolfe to take into Game 2. But we're going to see Will, click in that forfeit.
Yeah, the player's just shaking hands. Will knowing that he's, fallen down a game, but he's got a lot of information to take into Game 2. There was a couple of really big turns there, I think, for Will, where he, was picking it up nicely, but the light screen just took away that momentum, and a turn where Wolfe does get hit by the double water spout, usually that picks up knockouts, and that puts Wolfe on the back foot, limits his switching options, but because of light screen, which is something we don't see very often, particularly in the VGC format, we see it in maybe other formats that are played online, but to see it here, really paying dividends. A lot of people don't want to spend that time setting up, but clearly it works. So it works with Wolfe's playstyle, and Klefki ran the show there. So I think Will really has to adapt, look deep into his team, and see what he can beat Klefki with.
Yes, I think getting rid of that light screen or possibly preventing it even from coming out turn 1 will certainly decide, I think, the outcome of this next game. One thing I also can't help but wonder about, we did see that Bronzong come out from Wolfe that last game. It seems like such an interesting pick because it doesn't really have much offensive pressure other than to help with that Xerneas. So it's almost like Wolfe was counting on Will to fall back on Xerneas, to rely on it to deal the massive damage that he needs. I wonder if we'll see that Bronzong yet again. Going into Game 2, we do see the same lead from Wolfe, that Rayquaza and Klefki combo again into the Raichu and Kyogre.
So Will changing it up a little bit here, doesn't bring the Xerneas right off the bat. Tries to just bring a lot more pressure with the Kyogre, but we saw Kyogre's just not safe against that Rayquaza. Wolfe's got a number of ways that he can buff up that Rayquaza's stats to get a nice easy knockout on Kyogre, although he does of course feel under pressure a little bit from the Ice Beam. It's going to be tough, and we also saw Safeguard come out from Klefki last game. Raichu, one of his favourite things to do is nuzzle something such as Rayquaza, and when you're only doing the tiny amount of damage and not getting the paralysis off it, then it's going to be a little bit harder for Raichu to function. Of course, it does keep the Kyogre safe from Thunder Waves, which is nice, but then it's just not able to do as much back.
Yes, we're going to see Rayquaza Mega Evolve immediately this turn, getting rid of that Rain, setting up Delta Stream instead, protecting it from any super effective Ice-type attacks that Kyogre might decide to send out on the field this turn. Raichu going for a Fake Out into Rayquaza, and we see Klefki again immediately using this first turn to set up that light screen to further boost the defense capabilities of Wolfe's side of the field. Water Spout from Kyogre, even though it is at full health, it does hardly anything to either of these two Pokemon.
Yeah, I think just purely on the way the teams are constructed, it's going to be really difficult for Will to get through this light screen. Both of his restricted Pokemon attack with special attacks, so light screen reducing the damage output of his restricted Pokemon makes it exceptionally hard for him to pick up knockouts in the quick way he was in the tournament.
So Rayquaza going for a Protect, but Raichu calling it out, going for a Feint to break that Protect. Klefki using Safeguard. Ice Beam from that Kyogre, it's probably going to that Rayquaza. After seeing that Feint, it does. The big question now is, will it knock it out? And it doesn't, because that light screen is just too good.
Yeah, a really good turn there from Wolfe, looking maybe to set something up for this next turn. He gets the Safeguard up, so Will has got to be scared of that Swagger going towards that Rayquaza. But there's the amount of things on the field now to keep Rayquaza safe is unbelievable. He's not used Dragon Ascent yet, so he's not lowered his defenses. He does, of course, have the light screen and the strong winds to keep it safe, so really all in on the Rayquaza, see what you can do, and before anything happens to his attack potentially, Will is going to try with the Intimidate to lower its attack just to limit the damage coming out from here.
Yeah, not only that, we're going to see Raichu go for a second Feint, just barely missing that knockout, even though it does get a critical hit. Unfortunately for Rayquaza, though, it actually dodges the Swagger from the Klefki, so we will not see an attack boost this turn. It is left at -1 attack thanks to that Salamence's Intimidate, and that Salamence is able to take that Dragon Ascent as a result.
Yeah, I feel like Wolfe, most of his calculations rely on having the attack boosted by maybe a Swords Dance, or in this case the Swagger. So not doing as much damage as he would have liked. Raichu sort of sat on the field a little bit unable to do anything though. I feel if Will wants to win this game, maybe he needs to switch out the Raichu and bring it back in at a better time. Maybe when Klefki's gone and maybe when safeguards expired as well. We do see, as you were saying at the beginning of the game though, Wolfe does want to bring that Bronzong again.
Yes, we're going to see that Bronzong come in on the field in place of that Rayquaza, so definitely a very beneficial switch for Wolfe. He's able to get rid of the defense drops from that Dragon Ascent and come back in and, you know, deal more damage potentially in the next few turns. Raichu going for a feint into that Bronzong, and Klefki using this opportunity to swagger that Raichu. So, you know, that feint, I guess, will be boosted by that attack, but, you know, having that chance for confusion really isn't going to help out much either.
Yeah, Klefki just pretty much that's all it can do now. It's not going to have the Rayquaza on the field to boost up with Swagger. It did miss, unfortunately, which is a really big loss for Wolfe. But now he can start just swaggering the things on, obviously, Will's side of the field. So a little bit risky, especially in the case of the Salamence. Not so much in the case of the Raichu. With nothing else to do, he may as well just go for it.
Yeah, we see Kyogre using this opportunity to switch in onto the field. We know it can't be Thunder Waved due to Raichu, but it can still be Swaggered, which is exactly what we see. That Swagger connecting with that Kyogre, again boosting its attack, but confusing it in return. It's time for Raichu to see if it can attack through that confusion. It cannot, unfortunately. It takes some recoil damage from this turn. Bronzong going for a Hypnosis out of gravity. It connects with that Kyogre and puts it right to sleep.
Yeah, we see Wolfe knowing that now Bronzong's in, there's nothing else he really needs to do. You know, he's not trying to set up for an offensive partner this turn, so why not just go throughout this Hypnosis? I know a lot of people say, oh, do some damage, there's a lot of other things you can do, but no. He's perfectly safe to Hypnosis, and getting him asleep is a really big thing.
Yeah, you have to evaluate, you know, will this chip damage be more valuable for me? Or will the chance that I put a Pokemon to sleep for at least one turn, potentially 4 turns, be more valuable? And I think in the case of Bronzong, who really isn't that, you know, offensively capable against any of the Pokemon in this metagame, except if you're a Xerneas, taking that coin flip is really the beneficial option, and we've really seen it pay off in dividends to Wolfe throughout this Top Cut series. We see the Klefki finally switch out, leaving the field. Kyogre coming in its place. Raichu dealing a massive amount of damage to that Bronzong with Feint, thanks to the +2. And we see Bronzong skill swap the Lightning Rod away from Raichu. So while we won't be able to see Wolfe capitalize on any sort of Thunder Wave attacks, I think still, having Bronzong on the field with such a beneficial ability will certainly protect Kyogre from getting thundered, or Volt Switch, or whatever other electric attack that Raichu is carrying.
Yeah, and now it really limits Raichu to using Endeavor. We saw Endeavor do a good amount of damage to the Bronzong there, and it will be quite significant if it catches the Kyogre with it too, so we'll see how much it does. It takes it to just over half, but then we get to see the big Origin Pulse come out from Wolfe's side of the field, and it's going to connect with both.
It does connect with both. It deals a ton of damage, but Raichu hanging on. Kyogre on Will's side of the field remaining asleep, and Wolfe using this opportunity to set up Trick Room with that Bronzong.
Yeah, the only concern with the Trick Room being set up here is we did just see Kyogre on Wolfe's side of the field move first, so if Will's Kyogre wakes up now, maybe he's got something in his locker that he could throw it out. I mean, if it's one of those Kyogres that carry Thunder, it isn't going to be able to use that because of the Lightning Rod on Bronzong's.
Yeah, so we're going to see Raichu get knocked out by a Gyro Ball, and you're right, if Kyogre were to have Thunder on Will's side of the field, it does wake up. We do have to roll for Confusion first. Unfortunately, Kyogre is very unlucky today. It hurts itself in Confusion, allowing Kyogre on Wolf's side of the field to Origin Pulse, but, you know, I guess it does get a little luck after all. It dodges that attack.
Yeah. Bit of luck on both sides, obviously. Will unable to attack because of the Confusion self-hit, and then the Kyogre missing the Origin Pulse, which would have done huge damage for that single target. Bronzong now in a very good position, though. We don't usually see Bronzong running the show, but with the Trick Room up, it's able to throw out that Hypnosis early, maybe get something to sleep that Wolfe considers a threat here, or it's just able to put big pressure on this Xerneas with the Gyro Ball. We did see, of course, it needed a crit to do that much damage last time, but it's still going to be able to do significant damage to a Xerneas. Will likely not going to throw up the Geomancy right now, purely because the Trick Room is in play and he doesn't have a way to reverse it himself.
Yeah, we do not see a Geomancy this time. Instead, we see that Xerneas protecting, attempting to stall out the remainder of Trick Room. Kyogre avoiding the Hypnosis, snapping out of Confusion, but missing the Origin Pulse on one of Wolfe's Pokemon. Unfortunately, Bronzong will not be taking any damage. Kyogre only taking a little bit of damage, but it misses the Origin Pulse as well.
Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of coin flips going on this game. Obviously, the Hypnosis missing is huge. If you get that Kyogre to sleep, then it's not able to do anything, but then it gets through the confusion, which is really quite significant. I mean, he's going to need to bring Klefki back in to confuse it, and getting through that, then being able to attack. It avoids another Hypnosis. Will's Kyogre just going for the Origin Pulse, so maybe he's getting an exact replica of what he actually wanted to do last turn.
It's hard to say. It looks like, both Pokemon on Wolf's side of the field are barely hanging on. Wolf goes for that Origin Pulse. It did miss one Pokemon. It looks like that Salamence is not taking any damage. It is so close right now. Wolf, it looks like he might lose Kyogre or Bronzong this turn, depending on if that Kyogre is able to finally hit both Pokemon with a Origin Pulse.
Yeah, Will really needs to get through this without getting hit by the Hypnosis again. He could just stall out the Trick Room and put himself in a really good position, but we've not seen him try and stall it yet, so maybe he's got some turns saved up that he can do that. Saying that though, we do have to be conscious of our timer again. We're approaching that 5-minute mark, and we do see the Pokemon advantage obviously in Wolfie's favor. Wolfie known and by some people disliked for his play of the timer, and if he can just get himself in a good position, maybe take the knockout on these two and just take it to a 2-1, that might be a win condition for him, but Will really needs to stall out this Trick Room right now to secure a win condition for himself.
Kyogre switching out, Klefki coming in its place on Wolf's side of the field, Kyogre on Will's side of the field, protecting this turn. You're right, I believe we do see him, stall out the remainder of this Trick Room with a second Protect from that Salamence. Bronzong left to try and Hypnosis, but unfortunately it will not be successful.
Yeah, and Will playing very well there, just knowing when Trick Room's going to end, being able to stop that from happening. And now he's in a really good position to put out a lot of damage. I mean, he can get the knockout on the Bronzong if he connects anything with it. Klefki goes for the Thunder Wave, directed by the Lightning Rod of his own Bronzong, so maybe Wolf forgot that he switched that around.
That's very unfortunate for Wolf. That Hyper Voice from Salamence then picking up the knockout on Bronzong, leaving Klefki. It does activate its Citrus Berry prior to Kyogre's attack, but whatever Kyogre is going to do is a single target, Origin Pulse. We see the animation. We know it's going to connect. How much damage is this going to do? It also gets a crit on top of that for the knockout. Wolf is now down to his last two Pokemon versus Will's 3.
Yeah, fantastic turn for Will. He got all that he wanted, and a misplay, a very rare misplay. Like, get that one in your scrapbook because you're not going to see many of them. A misplay by Wolfe Glick, forgetting where Lightning Rod was on the field, and he just throws it at himself. So a very good turn for Will. Both of the Pokemon that come out on Wolf's side of the field are exceptionally low on health as well, but it is going to be tough. Obviously, Rayquaza is there, able to put down a ton of pressure with extreme speed, and we end up with this very odd Kyogre mirror, so maybe it's actually Will who might want to look towards the timer for a little win there.
I don't know. I feel kind of bad for Wolf. He posted after his first top 8 round today on Twitter that he wasn't really feeling so hot today. And I think that, that misclick there, unfortunately, is another sort of sign that he's not really on his game today. Hopefully, if we do see a game 3, which I think it's highly likely that we will, despite, Rayquaza's attempt to knock out Salamence here with that extreme speed missing by just 16 HP. He really needs to shake it off. He needs to get his head back in the game and just do his best to let it go and move on.
Yeah, and I mean, that one mislet, one error by Wolf wins Will the game in that instance. So very smart by Will to just stay in it. I think Will played it beautifully, especially around the Trick Room. He just kept going, knew what he needed to do, but Wolf forgetting where he skill swapped abilities to, causing him to fall short. I mean, Klefki could have swaggered and we could have had a completely different ending to that game, but such great capitalizing by Will on that error. Like, this is almost, weirdly, it's kind of the reverse of what Wolf does to people, Wolf likes to let people play their game, and then he finds a mistake, and then he punishes them for it. Will actually does that to him there, so maybe it's going to stress Wolf out a little bit going into the last round.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. I'm so excited right now. Game 3 of an incredibly close top 4 match here. Will Collins versus Wolfe Glick. Again, for those of you who may just be tuning in, on the bottom screen, Will has Kyogre, Xerneas, Raichu, Hitmontop, Amoonguss, and Salamence. Wolf, you can see it right in front of you, running that Hitmontop, Kyogre, Rayquaza, Raichu, and Bronzong combo that he used to win the World Championships this year, but subbing out that Gengar for a Klefki, who's certainly been a huge role in how he's been playing these games, using its abilities very well. He just has to remember, how he set up the field, maybe take a couple more seconds to think through his plays and hope for the best. We're going to see a Xerneas and Raichu lead from Will going into this game 3. Raichu and Kyogre by Wolfe to respond.
Yeah, very smart, and I'm really excited to see the Raichu on Raichu matchup. It's so awkward for them because they both want to do the same thing, but they both stop each other from doing the same thing. So in a way, they just kind of nullify each other. Obviously, they can fake out for a turn, but after that, it's quite tough, and I think they might have slightly different movesets. What they bring could really decide how this goes. We've seen Feint from Will's Raichu, and we've not seen that from Raichu on Wolfe's side of the field. So I think the difference being the Feint and the Volt switch. Feint on Will's side means he actually has something to do realistically. He can be breaking protects with Feint, while Wolfe isn't going to be wanting to Volt switch out because of the Lightning Rod on the opposing Raichu. So probably a good turn. Will may be safe to throw up that Geomancy as well.
That was just what I was thinking, looking at the board position, and especially taking into account that Will is playing Wolfe. Wolfe does like to switch out Pokemon a lot. I don't really see an answer here for Geomancy, thanks to Raichu's Lightning Rod. So I think if Will just uses this opportunity to get that Geomancy up, to start dealing damage immediately next turn before Wolfe can, set up that light screen and get that engine that he has on his team working for him. We'll have to see Fake Out, though, faking out the Raichu on Will's side of the field. Kyogre moving next and going for a massively powerful Water Spout, leaving that Xerneas with just 48 HP left. Raichu getting that knockout. We do see Xerneas attempt the Geomancy, though, and it will get that boost.
Yeah, very good turn from Wolfe actually. And we see that having these Kyogres trained in speed paying dividends here. He gets to obviously a lot of damage down on that Xerneas, so even though it has set up Geomancy, it's now in a kind of precarious position. Very smart play as well, just to fake out the opposing Raichu. I believe it is a speed tie, and Wolfie winning that coin flip just puts him in a really solid position. Bringing in Salamence though, not a bad thing at all. Does have to be a little bit wary of the Nuzzle potentially coming out from Raichu, but if he feels he can just be offensive enough to power through, maybe knock the Raichu out with a 2 spread moves hitting it, which we've seen this combination before on the field. They both have access to very powerful spread moves. That's going to put a lot of damage down, and there's no light screen this time. No light screen on Wolfie's side of the field means the Hyper Voice, the Dazzling Gleam, they're going to be doing a lot more damage than they have done in the previous couple of games.
Yeah, we could see Wolfe attempt to reposition himself here to get that Klefki out on the field if he brought it to set up light screen so he can benefit from it in the next upcoming turns. But, that will come at a cost. If he does have that Klefki, it's going to take a lot of damage on that switch in, and I don't know if that's something that you want to risk in a Game 3 going into the top 4 match. Knowing that finals is on the line, it's really hard to say what the best payoff for you will be. We do not see any switches this turn. Mega Salamence, showing up on the field. Xerneas protecting itself, maybe trying to feel out how Wolfe is gonna, deal with this turn. Salamence protecting as well, so definitely Will trying to feel out what Wolfe's gonna do. We see that protect on Kyogre, and Raichu is left to nuzzle what is the Xerneas. So now Will knows, I think, that Wolfe considers his Xerneas the biggest threat right now.
Yeah, very good information gathering turn from Will there. I think it worked both ways. I think he was trying to maybe bait the protect out of the Kyogre, which is very, very smart. He also protects the Salamence just to get the speed boost next turn. Obviously, the Mega Evolution, the boost he gets in speed doesn't apply until this turn. So now he's able to capitalize on it. And I think now that he knows the Salamence is going to be going before the Raichu, he's probably able to go for it with a Hyper Voice, catch some damage on that, and then catch it with the Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas.
Yeah, so we do see that Dazzling Gleam from Xerneas immediately. It's going to deal massive damage to both that Kyogre and Raichu. Salamence not using Hyper Voice, instead going for a double edge for the knockout on Kyogre. Wolfe using a significant portion of his offensive ability for this match. Salamence taking a little damage in recoil. It's nice that he gets this nuzzle here. He's going to paralyze that Salamence, but honestly, it might be too little too late now that that Kyogre has been knocked out.
Yeah, curious to see as well how Wolfie changes his target for that nuzzle. The turn before we did see it go towards the Xerneas, and this turn we see it go towards the Salamence. So maybe he's had a little assessment between turns and thinks, oh, Salamence is going to be the problem. Salamence was the problem that turn, and I like how aggressively Will played it. He goes for the double edge onto the Kyogre. It looked like a very safe turn to throw out spread moves, but he wouldn't have got a double knockout either way, I believe. With the amount of special defensive bulk that the Kyogre has, you need a physical type attack something like a double edge to knock it out consistently. So Will plays that very smart, and instead of taking just a knockout on the Raichu, takes a knockout on the Kyogre instead. Very, very smart play from Will, I think.
We see Wolfe's fourth Pokemon here. It is that Bronzong. Rayquaza not Mega Evolving this turn, protecting instead. We're going to see Xerneas go for a Dazzling Gleam. Bronzong not going to take a lot of damage from that. It will resist it. The big question here is, what did Salamence choose to do? It is not paralyzed. It goes for that Hyper Voice. It's going to deal a little more chip damage onto that Bronzong. And really, I think every bit of chip damage helps at this point.
Yeah, trying to get through that Bronzong, trying to whittle it down is really, really important for Will. He must be wondering if he can get rid of it this turn, because the fact is Xerneas is boosted. He might be trying to avoid the Trick Room. It's going to be curious to see if he goes for it. Obviously, with Salamence being slowed down, you don't really want to be doing that, giving it the advantage because Trick Room is up, but you do need an answer to deal with this Xerneas. You may just be going for the Gyro Ball just to knock it out.
We see an extreme speed from Salamence into Xerneas to deal a massive amount of damage, gets that knockout. It's all going to come down to the Salamence. We know it's paralyzed, we know it has Draco Meteor, but Salamence is fully paralyzed. It's unable to attack, and Bronzong skill swaps away the Aerialate from Salamence, further decreasing its offensive capabilities.
Yeah, that turn just really goes wrong for Will there. He doesn't protect on the Xerneas, looking like he wants to try and get some damage down, potentially a really big Dazzling Beam into the Rayquaza, or maybe a Moonblast to bring it down to its Focus Sash, but he doesn't get it. You know, he goes offensive, and Extreme Speed does enough, even without any boost. Wolfe knows this team inside and out. It knows how much it will do, even to this bulky kind of Xerneas that we don't often see. So a really good turn in that regard, and then the full paralysis comes down from Salamence, gets its ability taken away, so even if it does attack, it's going to be doing even less damage now. It's given Levitate, which isn't going to help it at all. It's already a flying type. So Aerialate, which would usually boost those kind of attacks, taken away and really ruin Salamence's day. We don't often see people skill swapping Salamence's ability away, but Wolfe thinks of all the things.
Here it comes, a Origin Pulse from Kyogre. We know it's going to connect with Bronzong. The question is, how much damage is it going to do? It gets the knockout. So Kyogre is left up on the field, not going to take any damage this turn because Rayquaza did protect on Wolfe's side. It's down to Rayquaza and Raichu on Wolfe's side versus a paralyzed Salamence and a full health Kyogre on Will's side of the field. This match is so close. It's up to these trainers to remain calm, think about their moves, think about what their win condition is, and try and play this out so that they end up on top.
Yeah, Wolfe a little bit. It's very equal. They both have that one restricted, the Kyogre and the Rayquaza on different sides. We do know that Wolfe doesn't have control of the weather, so there's no strong winds to help resist that Ice-type attack, and there's no light screen either. We see the Kyogre just being safe, though. Doesn't want to do anything silly. Goes for a Protect.
Goes for a Protect. Raichu faking out that, oh my god, Rayquaza also targeting the Kyogre, and Draco Meteor connects with that Rayquaza. It's going to deal a massive amount of damage. We know that it will not get the knockout because it is Focus Sash, but that was huge. Double targeting into that Kyogre there during the Protect was possibly a huge misplay on Wolfe's part. It is all going to come down to this next turn.
Yeah, I love as well that Will protects the Kyogre here, because if you're in Wolfe's shoes, the way you think about it is you think, Salamence is paralyzed. It's not going to do anything. We are going to see the Protect.
Rayquaza getting that double Protect, but Raichu has Endeavor targeting that Kyogre, bringing its health down into what I can only assume is an extreme speed range. Origin Pulse, though, connecting with that Raichu. It's going to knock it out. It is 2 versus 1. Rayquaza can only knock out one of these Pokemon. Salamence is paralyzed. If this game is so close, it's going to come down to, can Salamence attack through the paralysis?
Yeah, I think Will may have it, actually. I mean, he's in a very good position. Obviously, Wolfe's going to target down that Kyogre purely because it's low. We are going to see the Dragon Ascent come up. It is going to come down, targeting that Salamence.
It survives, so as long as Will is able to attack here, he will be moving on to the finals. There is the Ice Beam. And Will, you know, your homeboy from Florida, moving on to the finals of the 2017 Florida Regional Championships, beating Wolfe Glick in what can only be described as an absolutely incredible and unpredictable and nerve-wracking match.
Yeah, that was a beautiful match by Will.
Oh my
revenges himself
God.
for 2 years ago now, picking up the win. He got pretty much trashed by Wolfe in that semi-final before, and in this very tight, very, very exciting set, Will manages to get his revenge. So fantastic play from Will. Figured out all of his outs. I think he capitalized on every single turn that he got an advantage. And even though they were tiny, tiny advantages, he capitalizes off them and manages to eke out the win. So fantastic play there. I love what he did with a number of things. Not having that light screen, I think, in Game 3 really threw it in Will's favor there, and he managed to punish him for that.
Yeah, you know, if you look at Game 2 in comparison to Game 3, light screen really gave Wolfe a lot more wiggle room to kind of play the game his way. Losing that in that Game 3, I think, gave Will, with all the knowledge he learned from the past 2 games, what he needed to just take that win. So we're going to take a short break. We will be right back with your finals. It's going to be Ian McLaughlin versus Will Collins, I believe.
Will Collins, who just eked out that fat boy win.
Oh, man, that was absolutely incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed that match as much as we did. We will be back very soon with the finals. Please stay tuned. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching.